The golf world was minutes away from an earthquake. Bryson DeChambeau, the most controversial figure in professional golf, had made up his mind. He was leaving. Not just LIV Golf, not just the PGA Tour conversation. He was walking away from competitive golf entirely, at 32 years old, at the peak of his powers, with hundreds of millions of dollars left on the table. His bags were packed. His resignation letter was drafted. His inner circle had been notified. And then the phone rang. What happened in the next 72 hours has been described by insiders as the most dramatic negotiation in golf history. A $500 million deal emerged from nowhere. Lawyers worked through the night. Private jets crisscrossed the country. And Bryson DeChambeau, the scientist, the bomber, the man who had burned so many bridges, made a decision that will reshape the sport for a generation. This is the inside story of how Bryson DeChambeau was about to leave. And then this happened. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Bryson DeChambeau sat alone in his Dallas mansion on the evening of April 15, 2026. The house was silent. His phone was on the kitchen counter, face down. He had not answered a call or text in 6 hours. He had not eaten. He had not slept more than 3 hours the night before. He was done. The previous 3 years had taken everything from him. The LIV Golf experiment had made him rich, obscenely rich, but it had also made him a pariah. He was booed at majors, mocked on social media, excluded from private player gatherings that he once attended. His father had stopped speaking to him over the LIV decision. His longtime coach had quit. Even his sponsors had begun to distance themselves. The numbers were brutal. In 2023, he had been ranked 11th in the world. By April 2026, he had fallen to 47th. He had not won a major since 2020. He had not won any tournament, live or otherwise, in over 14 months. The mad scientist, who had once dominated golf with his single-length irons and bulked-up physique, had become a cautionary tale. But the money was never the problem. The problem was something deeper. The problem was that Bryson DeChambeau no longer knew why he was playing golf. "I woke up one morning and didn't want to hit a single ball," he later told a close friend. "That had never happened before. Not once. Not even after my worst rounds. Golf was always the answer. And suddenly, golf was the question." His LIV contract was set to expire in December 2026. He had already decided not to renew. His plan was simple: play out the remaining 8 months, collect his final paycheck, and then disappear. No farewell press conference, no tell-all interview. Just silence. He had even picked a retirement date, December 15, 2026, 1 week after the final LIV event of the season. He would fly to his ranch in Montana and never think about professional golf again. But the universe had other plans. April 16th at 7 a.m., his agent called. Not texted, called. That was unusual. His agent knew that Bryson did not take calls before 9 a.m. This had to be important. Bryson answered. His agent said 4 words. "You need to sit down." The voice on the other end of the line did not belong to a golf executive. It did not belong to a sponsor or a lawyer or a sports agent. It belonged to someone Bryson DeChambeau had never met, but whose name he knew immediately. It was the chairman of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, the man who controlled the purse strings of LIV Golf, the man who had spent over $2 billion building a rival league from nothing. And he was offering Bryson DeChambeau a lifeline. The conversation lasted 43 minutes. The chairman did not waste time on pleasantries. He got straight to the point. LIV Golf was restructuring. The league had learned from its mistakes. The team format was being overhauled. The schedule was being reduced. And most importantly, the league was offering a small group of elite players legacy contracts that would guarantee them a prominent role in LIV's future for the next decade. The number was staggering. $500 million over 10 years. Guaranteed. Not tied to performance, not tied to world rankings, not tied to anything except showing up and playing. But there was a catch, a massive catch. The contract required Bryson to recruit other top players to LIV. Not just any players, the young stars of the PGA Tour, Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Oberg. If Bryson signed, he would become the unofficial face of the league, responsible for convincing the next generation to make the same leap he had made. Bryson asked for 24 hours to think about it. The chairman said no. "You have 2 hours," he said. "The offer expires at 9 a.m., 2 hours, 120 minutes, to decide the rest of his life." Bryson called his father first. The conversation was brief and painful. His father said, "You already have enough money, don't sell your soul again." Then he hung up. Bryson called his girlfriend next. She said, "Do what makes you happy." That was not helpful. He called his old coach. The coach said, "Bryson, you don't need more money. You need to love golf again. Will this contract make you love golf?" That was the question. And Bryson did not know the answer. He paced his house. He stared at the walls. He thought about the booze, the loneliness, the feeling of being hated by a sport he had once dominated. And then he thought about the alternative. Retirement. Silence. A life without competition. The phone rang again. It was the chairman calling early. "1 hour left," he said. "What is your answer?" Bryson took a breath. "I need to think," he said. The chairman laughed. "You have 45 minutes. What happened in the next 45? Minutes would later be described by witnesses as controlled chaos. Bryson DeChambeau did not make the decision alone. He assembled a war room, his agent, his lawyer, his financial advisor, and his sports psychologist. They gathered around a conference table in his Dallas home, laptops open, phones ringing, the clock ticking. The numbers were unprecedented. $500 million over 10 years breaks down to $50 million per year. That is more than any golfer in history, including Tiger Woods at his peak, has ever earned annually from tournament play alone. For comparison, Scottie Scheffler's total career earnings on the PGA Tour are approximately $80 million. Bryson was being offered 6 times that amount in a single contract. But the money was not the only factor. The contract also included equity in LIV Golf itself. If the league ever went public or was acquired, Bryson would own a piece of it. That equity could be worth hundreds of millions more. In theory, this contract could make Bryson DeChambeau a billionaire. The war room was divided. The financial advisor said, "Sign it. This is generational wealth. Your children's children will never have to work." The sports psychologist said, "Don't sign it. You told me you were miserable. More money won't fix miserable." Bryson listened to both sides. Then he asked a question that no one expected. "If I sign this, will I ever be respected again?" Silence. No one had an answer. Because the truth is that Bryson DeChambeau's legacy is already complicated. He is a major champion. He is a scientific pioneer who changed the way golf is played. He is also a defector who chose money over tradition. A $500 million contract will not change that perception. It will only cement it. The clock showed 7 minutes remaining. The chairman called again. "Final offer," he said. "Sign by 9 a.m. or the deal is off the table. No extensions, no exceptions." Bryson looked at his team. His agent nodded. His lawyer shrugged. His financial advisor pointed at the pen. His sports psychologist shook his head. Bryson picked up the pen. He paused. He put the pen down. He picked it up again. The room was completely silent. Everyone held their breath. And then he signed. The news broke at 9:17 a.m. The PGA Tour's media monitors caught it first. By 9:30 a.m., every major golf outlet had published the story. Bryson DeChambeau signs $500 million extension with LIV Golf. The reactions were swift, brutal, and divided. The PGA Tour released a one-sentence statement. "We have no comment on the business decisions of players who are not members of the PGA Tour." That was diplomatic code for "we don't care anymore." Commissioner Jay Monahan, in a private call with tour executives, was reportedly less diplomatic. According to a source on the call, Monahan said, "Let him have his money. He's irrelevant to our future." But was that true? Because within hours of the announcement, 2 prominent PGA Tour players, both under 30, both ranked in the world top 20, quietly reached out to LIV Golf to inquire about their own contracts. The floodgates had not opened, but cracks were forming. The player reaction was fascinating. Rory McIlroy, who has been the most vocal critic of LIV, refused to comment. Jon Rahm said, "I don't judge anyone for making financial decisions for their family." Justin Thomas said, "Good for him, I guess, but I'm not following." The most interesting response came from a player who asked not to be named. He told Golfix, "Bryson just proved that loyalty has a price, and the price is $500 million. Everyone says they wouldn't take the money. Everyone says they would stay on the PGA Tour for the love of the game, but when that phone rings and that number appears, I don't know. I really don't know." Bryson DeChambeau did not do a victory lap. He did not post a celebratory video. He did not mock his critics. Instead, he released a short handwritten statement on social media. "I know many of you are disappointed. I know many of you will never forgive me. But I made this decision for one reason only. I love golf. And LIV Golf has given me the freedom to love it again. I will see you at the majors. I will keep trying to win. That has never changed. That will never change." The statement was met with a mix of scorn and grudging respect. Some fans called him a sellout. Others said, at least he's honest. But one thing was clear. Bryson DeChambeau was not going away. He was not retiring. He was not fading into Montana obscurity. He was going to keep playing, keep competing, keep being the most controversial figure in golf. And now he is also the richest. Bryson DeChambeau's $500 million contract is not just a story about one player. It is a story about the future of professional golf. The LIV experiment was supposed to be a failure. The Saudi money was supposed to run out. The PGA Tour was supposed to win. None of that has happened. LIV Golf is still here. The Saudi Public Investment Fund is still writing checks. And now, with Bryson DeChambeau locked in for a decade, the league has a centerpiece, a young, talented, controversial star who can attract attention and generate headlines. What does this mean for the PGA Tour? In the short term, nothing. The tour's schedule is full. Its television contracts are secure. Its top players, Scheffler, McIlroy, Spieth, have shown no interest in leaving. But in the long term, the math is ominous. The PGA Tour's total prize money for the 2026 season is approximately $450 million. That is spread across 47 events and hundreds of players. Bryson DeChambeau will earn more in 1 year, $50 million, than the entire PGA Tour will pay out in prize money over a month. The gap is only growing. And at some point, a young player, perhaps a 22-year-old who has not yet won a major, will look at that gap and ask, why am I grinding for $1 million a year when I could be making $50 million? That is the question that keeps PGA Tour executives awake at night. For Bryson himself, the future is clearer than it has been in years. He has security. He has purpose. He has a role. He is no longer the outcast. He is the foundation. The $500 million deal did not just save his career. It redefined it. He is no longer a defector. He is a pioneer. Whether history will remember him kindly is another question. But Bryson DeChambeau is not playing for history. He is playing for himself, for the love of the game, for the joy of competition. Bryson DeChambeau was about to leave. He was done. He was retired in his own mind. And then this happened. This $500 million deal did not just save his career. It changed the entire landscape of professional golf. The war is not over. It has simply entered a new phase. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.